everybody, and welcome back to another COVID-19 update of Rapping with the Rep. I'm State Representative Ken Gordon, and I'm here with Bob Coughlin, who is the CEO of MassBio. MassBio is the organization that acts as the leadership arm of the life sciences industry here in Massachusetts. And Bob's been working so hard. He's a former state rep, former Undersecretary of Economic Development, a great voice for an industry that is really the lifeblood of our area in Burlington, Bedford, and Wilmington, and of the Commonwealth. We've talked up until now about the large role that Massachusetts life sciences companies have played in addressing the COVID-19 virus, the treatment of it, the testing for it, a vaccination if we can get to one, and all of that. So Bob, welcome to our show. And I just wonder if you could tell, I'm asking if you could tell our viewers a little bit about our contributions to the effort.
Well, thank you for having me today, Representative. It's great to be here. And, I would like to thank you and all of your colleagues for your leadership during these unprecedented times. I mean, there's no playbook for this. And, having served in the House myself in the past, I can only imagine how difficult it is and how engaged you need to be with your constituents during this time. So it's an honor for me to be here with you and share with you, through you, to your constituents, what's going on in the life sciences industry here in Massachusetts. And I'm happy to say that we're playing an outsized role in this pandemic. And what do I mean by that? We're little old Massachusetts, okay? And because of the fact that industry, academia, and government have been working in a true partnership for the last 13 years here in Massachusetts, we've become the best place in the world for the life sciences. Not one of the top 10 anymore, the best. Why is that? Well, we have 122 colleges and universities. We have the brightest minds, not just here from Massachusetts, but we educate the best and brightest from all over the world. Academia plays a major role in generating talent, okay? That's what fuels the life sciences industry, smart people. So you take academia, you take that critical mass of industry. Just a decade ago, we had about 600 member companies in MassBio. Now we're up over 1,300. Okay, why did that happen? It happened because you and your colleagues decided to step up and really pitch in as government. Government plays a major role in science. They do that by creating an environment that's conducive to innovation, or they can pass bad laws that are bad for innovation. So again, what makes us unique here in Massachusetts is that government, academia, and industry all work together. Hey, we can't say that we've got good at this industry because the weather's good or we didn't have traffic problems, right? I mean, this was really because of teamwork. So thank you for that. Why does that become so important? It's always been important to me because I came to this industry, as you know, and I left government, as you know, because I have a son with cystic fibrosis. I came to the life sciences industry to help out in any way I could because I didn't want my son to die, okay? And there's no greater motivation that when people are dying, you need to solve unmet medical need. Let's fast forward to today, okay? Well, let's actually fast forward to early March of this year. And we realized that this pandemic was coming. I never thought, hey, I work in this industry, right? I never thought that we would be on a virtual call today because we couldn't meet face to face and be able to say that the most important thing to the world's economy and to safety, so people will stop dying. Think of the deaths and the extreme amount of loss that our society has endured as a result of this pandemic. But did you ever think we'd be able to say that the most important thing to our world's economy was a vaccine? I didn't. Well, thank goodness that we do have a critical mass of companies and smart people and academic medical centers. Immediately when this crisis hit, we got together with the Mass Health and Hospital Association, my dear friend and former colleague, Steve Walsh. We got together and made a list of what the hospitals were going to need. We then surveyed our member companies, working with my partners and our partners at MassMedic, and really found out immediately what sort of PPE was available out there. We quickly got our PPE and were able to donate it to our healthcare providers during the surge, the med surge that was coming, that peak that we were facing. So one, our industry was able to help protect healthcare workers, which felt really, really good, but also companies started shifting a lot of their focus to vaccine development, therapeutic development, and diagnostic inventions, okay? When you look at little old Massachusetts, 1/6 the size of California, we have close to 80 companies right now that are working on diagnostics, meaning test kits, whether you test for the virus or you test for the antibody to see if you had the virus and have already resolved and become well. That's important to know. We also have companies that are working on therapeutics, meaning not a vaccine, but a drug that you can take, a medicine that you can take when you get sick with the virus. Very important, similar to when you get the flu, you can take an antiviral like Tamiflu. We're working on medicines like that, and several of them should be approved in short order. And then the third piece, the thing that is so important for us, not only to save lives, but to get back to some sense of normalcy, and that is a vaccine. And when you look at, there's over 100 vaccines in development right now around the world, but only eight of them are currently in clinical trials, and 2 of them are from Massachusetts. You know, that is truly amazing. Vaccines typically take 5 to 10 years, maybe 5 to 15 years to invent. And we are compressing that timeline down so that we will have a vaccine. This industry, working closely with the world-class academic medical centers, will have a vaccine hopefully within 12 months, right? That is a world record amount of time. So again, I know I just went on quite a bit, that representative, but I want your constituents to know that the men and women that go to work every day, typically to solve unmet medical needs, whether it's cancer, cystic fibrosis, ALS, Alzheimer's, we all know and love somebody who's a patient or has died from an unmet medical need. Now, many of them are focusing, as we say in Massachusetts, those wicked smart brains towards coming up with a therapy that is going to get us out of this problem. The only thing that will get us out of this problem we're in right now is science, and we are the best place in the world for it.
That's a great point. Before I ask you the next question, though, I want to go back to something you said, which is that what started you down this path was a response to a condition, an illness that your son faced. And my understanding is he just celebrated an important birthday. He's
18 years old now. When Bobby was born, folks, I never thought that he'd live as long as he has. I didn't know, I never expected to go to his graduation. Well, we're not going to his graduation, but he's having a graduation on Saturday. And people say, aren't you so upset about what's going on right now? I'm just happy he's alive. You know, to talk about putting things in perspective. And it took 18 years and over $13 billion for a company here in Massachusetts called Vertex Pharmaceuticals, to invent a therapy that finally works for my son. And, you know, he's not as healthy as if this drug was invented 5, 6, maybe 10 years ago. But you know something, it's going to keep him alive. And, you know, for the first time in my life, I don't have nightmares. I don't have nightmares about having to go to my own kid's funeral. And that's what is so beautiful about this industry. And I really think that that passion and that, you know, undying persistence, right, is what makes this industry so special. And that's why I'm so optimistic that we're going to have therapeutics, we're going to have better diagnostics, we're going to have therapeutics, and we will have a vaccine that will get us out of this.
Congratulations on your son's graduation. Is terrific news. And like you said, to have an industry that is thriving, that is so important to the health and safety of our community right here that we can count on, is just tremendously important. I just want to bring it back to what's happening right here in Bedford, Burlington, Wilmington. I know that we have a tremendous contribution that we're making. What are some of your members doing? Who are they? And talk to me a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, let's talk about the 21st Middlesex, right? Let's talk about the district that you represent and the district that you work for, right? We've talked a lot because of your role that you play in economic development. You know, I get so excited about this industry because, you know, when you think of what our natural resource is, it's talent. You think about what we get to do here. What drives our economy is the life sciences industry, high tech, clean tech, biotech, you know, all the techs of what we're good at here. And when you get to work in economic development, we're creating amazing jobs in these amazing fields that ultimately improve. Like, think about it. If you can drive the economy and do good for humankind at the same time by solving up medical needs, what's better than that? And when you talk about Burlington and Bedford and the 21st Middlesex District, think about it. Everyone thinks that, oh, biotech is Kendall Square and Cambridge. It isn't. It is not. I mean, yeah, it's a great place for research and development, but where do we take the development and the manufacturing of these amazing products, right? I can't help but think of what's going on in Burlington and Bedford. You think of just your district alone is home to more than 20 life science companies, 20. And that's in companies like Millipore Sigma, UCB, Flexion Therapeutics, Homology, Stoke Therapeutics, many, many more. Think about, hey, when people think about Northeastern University, you tend to think of Boston and Huntington Ave, right? No, what about the campus that we've visited together to talk about how you can take those great ideas, great people, and actually incubate and create companies right there? Well, those companies want to stay there. You look at, from an economic development standpoint as well, both Burlington and Bedford are platinum bio-ready communities. That means that when the economic development team at MassBio, because again, I don't work for the Commonwealth, I work for the industry now. I'm in that dreaded private sector, and I've never been more happy, by the way. So when you look at what we're doing in the private sector here, when these companies come to us, we only bring them to platinum-ready communities, which you guys have already done the work in your communities. It's the highest ranking, and it means that each town is a favorable destination for our companies. They're prime locations for us to help companies situate there, grow there, and recruit them to come there. And with all if you think about what a big issue that we're all facing in the Commonwealth, not now during COVID-19, but congestion and traffic, we weren't at a tipping point, we're at a breaking point. And we're finding that more and more people aren't willing to make that commute. So let's place the place of business closer to where people want to live, work, and play, which is in your neck of the woods. So we've had great successes, and there's some wonderful properties up there that we love to show to opportunities. And, even now during COVID-19, you look at what's happening up 95 and 93 as it relates to COVID-19 research. We're not slowing down. We have companies that are looking to Massachusetts right now to grow, even during these difficult times. When you look at manufacturing, biomanufacturing, and regenerative medicine, and cell and gene therapy, there's no better place for manufacturing than right up in your district.
It's really fascinating. And you did come, Bob, we had a hearing with our Joint Committee on Economic Development last year. And thank you very much. You were kind enough to come speak to our committee at Northeastern. And what you saw and what we saw is that innovation campus there is designed for research for marketable, needed science. So it's, along with being an academic institution, it's providing the science that we need to distribute to the companies that are in this life sciences area. They're doing just what you said. And then we went over to Millipore and we saw their M Labs. That's a space that they provide to smaller companies who wouldn't have the infrastructure, they wouldn't have the equipment, the lab equipment to do the research that's saving lives, and they make that available to them. It's a tremendous contribution going on right here in our towns.
Yeah, and I think it's so important to know, Representative, that, you look at Bedford Woods, right? A 79-acre property that's pre-permitted for labs and offices. You think of the pre-permitted sites that Burlington has, and also in February, the fact that Burlington's town meeting, they opened up additional development opportunities as a by right use in 3 new sites along right along 128 and I-95. So that partnership between government and industry, and not just at the state level, but at the local level. We have these old town meeting forms of government can be very difficult. I was a selectman in Dedham and on the school committee as well way back when. And, I know that if towns can't move at the speed of industry, business, you're going to lose out on these opportunities. And I can't think, but remember the old days when Route 128 was America's information highway because of the high computing industry, and we had Make It in Massachusetts and all these things? Well, moving forward, what's going to happen is we're going to start making it in Massachusetts again, but we're going to make large molecule drugs. We're going to make parts for ventilators. We're going to make high-end PPE. We're going to make the ingredients, the API, the approved pharmaceutical ingredients that go into drugs. So when I think of what we're going to make in Massachusetts and where we're going to make it, it's right up along 128 and I-95. And your municipal leaders, you got to admit, you have some amazing men and women that work in economic development in the 3 towns in your district, right? That touch your district. We are so lucky to have them because they've already done the work to position your district so we can bring opportunity there. And again, create jobs, create tax base that your municipalities will need more than ever moving forward.
Thank you very much. And you're right about that. You heard from some of those municipal leaders when you came out here, and they really get it. And
they do.
They really do. They get it. And, this is a safe industry to be located here. It's an industry that doesn't create excess traffic. And we have office space that right now, after this virus and after we get back to work, we're going to realize that we're going to leave this theory that we need to pack a lot of people into a small space. People are getting used to working remotely and in other ways, which is going to leave room for the large lab space, which is just a tremendous use of this opportunity.
Yeah, really. I tell people all the time, and I'm on calls all day long, I think the future of the life sciences industry is out in the suburbs. I mean, a lot of times the folks in Cambridge and Boston don't like to hear me say that, but why? I mean, why wouldn't people want to take advantage of a better price per square foot, less of a commute, and look at how much we can telecommute? There's going to be a lot of good that comes out of this. And again, please don't misunderstand what I'm saying here. COVID-19 and this pandemic has been devastating, but we are learning how to do things better, more efficiently, faster. I'll tell you this much, I'm not going to travel like I used to. Right. I'm not. I don't need to. I was able to brief our federal congressional delegation, 2 members of the Senate down in DC yesterday, right here from my office. And it was very effective.
Right. Spend more time with your son? Spend time.
Yeah, I don't know. An 18-year-old kid, I don't know how much time he wants to spend with his dad, but we're trying to do a little fishing, some social distance fishing on the weekends. We have to be very careful for him or anyone with a respiratory illness like cystic fibrosis to get this COVID-2, this SARS-2 COVID-19 virus would be catastrophic. So got to be very careful.
Yeah, I can hear that. And one last thing in this area, when you mentioned, not only can people live closer to where they work, where their families are, a little more space for there. But as we get returning to normal, the restaurants are out here, the amenities are out here. And so people looking at this space, people looking at this area, again, it's an attractive place for this industry to come. That's why the towns get it. And that's why they're going to do what they can to continue to participate in this area. So Bob, thank you so much for being our guest here at Rapping with the Rep. Thank you for coming and rapping.
Yeah, no, thank you, Representative. And I want to thank the people of the 21st Middlesex District for sending you to the House, because you've been a joy to work with. And again, constituent service is everything. And, that includes the businesses that are in your community. That's where a lot of the tax base comes from. And you have been more than a joy to work with. And I look forward to working with you in the future as we get through this pandemic and obviously other serious crises that our country is facing right now.
Thank you very much, Bob. It's great to work with you. It's great to have your support. It's great when the legislature and MassBio have worked together in partnership so well. And it's so great to be able to continue to look forward to that work.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Bob Coughlin of MassBio, thank you very much for being our guest here on Rapping with the Rep. And now what we're going to do is speak to 2 local companies who are involved in the life sciences industry and are addressing the COVID-19 crisis, one here in Burlington and one here in Bedford. I'm here with our guest from UCB in Bedford, and I'm here with Onur Cass, who is the head of gene therapy in the Vector Core, if I'm saying that right. Jessica Williamson, protein production lead. this company has been an incredible member of our community and has been tremendously generous. UCB has donated $15,000 to the Bedford Food Pantry, $15,000 to Operation Feed the Soul, which is a citizen volunteer-led effort to obtain meals from local restaurants and then deliver those meals to local healthcare organizations such as hospitals, nursing homes, and the like, and another $25,000 to the Leahy Healthcare Foundation. I think also you contribute to the governor's COVID relief effort as well, right?
Right.
Before we talk about the science of what you do at UCB, thank you very much for your contributions, and I'd like to talk a little bit about what went behind the decisions to do all of that.
Maybe I can take this one. So with the country and state heavily impacted by COVID-19, UCB is committed to doing our part to contribute scientific expertise and resources to the greater response efforts. So our actions are focused on protecting the health and well-being of our employees, contributing to research, supporting local communities, and offering direct support to patients. We've expanded our capacity to help patients who have been impacted by COVID-19 by ensuring uninterrupted access to their medicines through the expansion of our patient assistance programs. Also here in Bedford, we've donated safety glasses, gloves, disposable lab coats, and other PPE from our labs to be used by healthcare institutions and researchers in Massachusetts for COVID-19. And in fact, from National Guard, a truck came to pick up those donations at UCB.
Right. In fact, we have a picture of that.
Okay.
Some of the viewers are seeing now. It's a tremendous effort as well.
That's right. And the monitor donations you mentioned to the local organizations that are in the front lines of serving those most impacted by COVID-19, like the Operation Feed the Soul that you mentioned, a program started by local Bedford residents. Town of Bedford's Emergency Relief Fund is another one. Leahy Hospital's Healthcare Heroes Fund and the statewide COVID-19 Relief Fund.
It's tremendous. So UCB is a company that's in the biopharma field. Obviously, prior to this, you had a different focus. You were helping people to deal with chronic pain and other conditions like that. Tell me how this has impacted the focus of UCB and what you've been doing in this area.
Yeah, I can field that one. So we've continued with our research because it was important for us to make sure there wasn't any interruption in getting our medicines to patients who currently don't have treatment. So we prioritized the work that needed to get done to keep things moving. But then on the side, we added in research on COVID-related topics. So for example, one of the things we're exploring is trying to determine the crystal structure of some of the viral proteins. When I say crystal structure, I mean, what is the atomic level structure of pieces of the virus? So once you understand what the structure is, then that gives you a better chance of finding a drug that might target it. So that's something that we're pursuing in collaboration with a public consortium. So all of that data that we generate from that is available to the public, so that we're hoping to help as many people as possible use that information to find new medicines for the COVID virus.
That's incredible. So you're really helping people in so many different ways right here in Bedford on Wiggins Ave. And I mean, it's great to be reminded of the contributions being made locally. Bob Coughlin's been talking about those contributions and the contributions made statewide. But right here, we have a lot to be proud of. So Onur Cass and Jessica Williamson, I wish we had more time to talk, but thank you very much for stopping by Rapping with the Rep. And we'll see you soon, hopefully.
All right. Take care, Representative. Thank you.
Thank you. We're with Bob Schruender of Sekisui, which is a Burlington company involved in research with respect to flu and other situations like that. And so, Bob, welcome to our show. And can you talk a little bit to our viewers about your contributions in the COVID space? what you've been involved with?
Certainly. So early on in the COVID outbreak, we, as you mentioned, we offer flu testing for point of care, doctor's offices, hospitals, emergency clinics, urgent care kinds of clinics. And we saw quite an increase in flu testing, which was pretty late in the flu season, probably associated with the number of COVID tests. Mm-hmm. And what we're seeing now is guidance coming out from CDC and other health agencies that will indicate an algorithm of testing that will be necessary or will be useful, I think, to healthcare professionals as we start to come towards the next flu season and the coming second wave that's been predicted by so many of the healthcare professionals and in the government. So we expect to see a combination of both flu testing and COVID-19 testing in order to help healthcare professionals really identify what's going on.
It's great that you're involved in this area. And you're right that I think testing is the key to this whole thing, because it tells us how we can put people back to work. And really, it'll tell us when we're entering another problem phase. Our contact tracing just stems from all of this in this area.
That's absolutely right. The COVID-19 testing and then contact tracing, that's going to be some of our best defenses to help control the spread of the virus while we're waiting for either therapies or vaccines to be developed to help us create the immunity within the population that we're going to need. And Sekisui Diagnostics has partnered with a company, a partner that also supplies us with a flu test for a molecular COVID-19 test. So we can offer both flu testing and COVID-19 testing into the market. And we've been starting to distribute that across all of the US through all of our different commercial channels. So it's been a great partnership and a way for us to contribute very directly to the battle against the COVID-19 issue, as well as you mentioned, getting people back to work and back into the workplace would be great.
That's fantastic. Thank you for that. And I understand that you even at the outset, you got involved even with the provision of PPE to some of our local companies.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks for bringing that up. Very early on in the whole dynamic here, the PPE was a big issue. Our facility out in San Diego actually has a 3D printing capability. And the team there went very quickly to identify a simple design that they could put together for a face shield. And we're able to use that 3D printer technology to develop or run off about 100 or so face shields that we sent to 2 different facilities up in Northern California and then one here in Massachusetts at UMass Medical. So it was a great example of some entrepreneurship and some creative thinking to be able to provide some much needed PPE in the early days. So I was very proud of our contribution there.
That's great. Thank you for being such a great contributor and a Burlington company that's really addressing this effort. Thank you very much, Bob Schruender and Sekisui. Thank you for being on with us. We appreciate your contribution, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Thanks very much. Good to be with you.
Thank you very much. Well, everybody, thank you very much for watching another episode of Rapping with the Rep. We'll be back with another update soon.